The story begins with a young man named Dev, who was burdened by the weight of his own suffering. His life seemed filled with endless problems, his work, family, and mind constantly at war with each other. No matter what he did, he couldn't find peace. One day, after days of restlessness, he wandered into the forest, seeking something, though he wasn't sure what. As he walked, Dev came upon a serene clearing where a figure sat in deep meditation, calm, composed, and unmoved by the world around him. It was none other than Gautama Buddha. Dev hesitated for a moment, unsure if he should disturb the meditating Buddha, but his heart was so heavy that he could no longer carry the burden alone. He stepped forward, sat near Buddha, and waited for the master to open his eyes. After a few moments, Buddha's eyes slowly opened, his gaze soft, yet filled with deep understanding. "You seem troubled," Buddha said quietly. "What brings you here, my friend?" Dev poured out his heart. He spoke of his struggles, his disappointments at work, the conflicts at home, and the relentless thoughts in his mind that wouldn't let him rest. He spoke of the sleepless nights, the anger, the sadness, and the confusion. "I don't know what to do anymore," Dev said. "No matter how hard I try, nothing works. I've lost all hope." Buddha listened in silence, nodding gently, absorbing each word. Buddha took a deep breath and spoke with great gentleness. "Life, my friend, is full of suffering, but it is also full of opportunities to understand that suffering. It is our attachment to desires and outcomes that keeps us bound in a cycle of unhappiness." Dev furrowed his brow. "But how do I stop feeling this way?" "I've tried everything," Buddha smiled. "The root of suffering lies in our craving. We crave for things to be different than they are. We attach ourselves to what we want or wish for. But when we understand that everything is impermanent and learn to let go of our attachments, we find peace." "To explain this, let me tell you a story," Buddha said. "Once, there was a young mother who lost her child. Overcome by grief, she came to me, asking if I could bring her son back to life. I told her I would help, but first she must bring me a mustard seed from a household that had never experienced death. She searched every home in her village but found none untouched by loss. Finally, she understood that death and suffering are a part of life, not something to be escaped, but something to accept." Dev listened quietly, reflecting on his own life. He had been trying to control everything, his emotions, his situations, his outcomes. But perhaps, like the mother, he needed to understand that suffering and problems were inevitable parts of life. "I see now," Dev said. "I've been fighting against life, trying to make it fit my expectations. But maybe I need to accept it for what it is." Buddha nodded. "The first step is to accept. The second is to live in the present moment, fully aware of each breath, each step. When your mind is in the present, the past no longer haunts you, and the future no longer worries you. This is the practice of mindfulness." Dev's eyes filled with gratitude. "How do I practice this?" "Start by observing your breath," Buddha replied. "Inhale slowly, exhale slowly. As thoughts arise, notice them, but do not judge them. Let them pass like clouds in the sky. With time, you will find that your mind becomes still, and peace will arise within you." Dev closed his eyes and began to practice as Buddha had instructed. At first, his mind raced with thoughts of his past and worries for the future. But with each breath, he let them go, one by one. Slowly, a sense of calm washed over him. For the first time in a long while, he felt at peace, not because his problems were solved, but because he no longer fought against them. He had found acceptance. As Dev opened his eyes, he felt lighter. He stood up and bowed deeply to Buddha, gratitude overflowing from his heart. "Thank you," he said softly. Buddha smiled gently. The answers were always within you. You simply needed to see them. With that, Dev walked back down the path from which he had come, his heart no longer burdened, but filled with a sense of clarity and peace. The teachings of Buddha remind us that peace is not found in changing our external circumstances, but in changing how we relate to them. When we let go of our attachments and live in the present, we find the path to inner peace. May you find this peace within yourself. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe our channel for more videos.